Hey everyone. So let's talk about something that sounds super simple, but it's actually one of the deepest questions in philosophy. What's the real difference between a rock and a number?
All right, let's just jump right in. What do rocks and numbers have in common? I mean, you're probably thinking, not much. And you're right. At first glance, it seems obvious. One's a thing you can, pick up and throw. The other, well, what is it exactly? This isn't just a fun little riddle, by the way. This gets to the heart of what we even mean by reality.
So yeah, our gut instinct tells us the world is basically split in two. There's the stuff we can see and touch and bump into, and then there's all the other stuff we can only think about. Philosophers have a fancy way of putting it, of course. They call it the difference between the concrete and the abstract.
So in one corner, you've got your concrete objects, rocks, trees, us. Things that exist in a specific place at a specific time. You can point right at them. And in the other corner, you have the abstract stuff, the number 7, the idea of justice, democracy. I mean, you can't exactly trip over the concept of democracy, right? And good luck trying to put the number 7 in your pocket. Seems like a super clear line, doesn't it? Well, let's see about that.
Because it turns out that nice, neat line we just drew in the sand, it starts to get real blurry real fast. Let's throw a few curveballs into the mix that are going to mess with our simple little categories.
Okay, so forget rocks and numbers for a second. Where would you put these things? Seriously, take a moment and think. Concrete or abstract?
Okay, check these out. Bilbo Baggins. He's not real, you can't shake his hand, so... abstract? But wait, Tolkien created him at a specific point in time. Or what about something like Einstein's theory of general relativity? It's a bunch of ideas and equations, sure, but it describes the physical universe with mind-blowing precision. And then there's the International Monetary Fund. It's not a building, right? It's an institution, but it has very real, very concrete effects on economies around the globe. All of a sudden, our easy little system is totally falling apart. And this quote right here just nails the problem. What philosophers are doing isn't like discovering a new planet. They're not finding some hidden cosmic rule book. What they're actually trying to do is build a better tool. They're trying to come up with a proposal, a more useful way to define these terms so we can think more clearly about, everything that exists.
So if just going with our gut doesn't work, what's next? Well, we've got to try to build a more solid definition. Let's take a look at one of the most popular ways philosophers have tried to do this.
It's called the way of negation, which sounds kind of dramatic, but the idea is simple. It defines abstract things by what they're not. So an object is abstract if, 1, it's not in any physical space, and 2, it can't cause anything to happen. Think about it. The number 4 isn't somewhere, and the number 4 is never, on its own, smashed a window. Sounds pretty good, right? It seems to work.
But does it always work? Let's really kick the tires on this definition, because believe it or not, a simple board game is about to cause some serious philosophical headaches. Let's talk about chess.
Okay, so chess, the rules, the game itself, isn't a physical thing. It should be abstract. But hold on, our definition just said abstract things can't have a cause and aren't tied to a specific time. But chess was absolutely invented. It has a history. People in the 7th century came up with it. It has a cause. And boom, right there, our shiny new definition completely contradicts itself. That neat little box we built just collapsed.
So if we can't even get a solid definition to stick, it leads to a much, much bigger question. Do these abstract things even exist at all?
And this is where philosophers basically split into two giant teams. On one side, you've got the Platonists, and we mean with a small p here. They say, yes, abstract objects are totally real. They believe things like numbers and justice exist out there, completely independent of our minds. But on the other side, you have the nominalists. They're like, nope, they don't really exist. They're just labels, just names we slap onto concepts. For them, the only thing that's truly real is the physical stuff you can kick. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, who really cares if the number 2 is real or just a name? But hang on, because this isn't just philosophers arguing over words. The answer to this question has huge, and I mean huge, implications for the one thing we rely on to understand the universe, science. All right, so let's get down to it. Why does this abstract debate matter? Let's unpack one of the most powerful arguments ever made for why we absolutely should care.
So, back in the 20th century, this philosopher, W.V.O. Quine, came along and basically threw down a challenge. It was a brilliant argument aimed at anyone who says, I believe in science, but I don't believe in all this abstract nonsense.
He called it the indispensability argument. And it's so clever because it's so simple. It goes like this. Step 1. We should probably believe our best scientific theories are true, right? Like physics, chemistry, seems reasonable. Step 2. All of those theories, they're completely dependent on math. You literally cannot do physics without numbers. And here's the kicker. Step 3, math is about mathematical objects, things like numbers and sets. So Quine sets this elegant trap. If you believe in science, then you have to believe in the math that makes it work. And if you believe in the math, well, then you have to believe in the things that math is all about. Numbers.
Yeah, to put it another way, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to commit to believing in things like electrons and quarks, which our scientific mathematical theories tell us are real, then Quine argues you also have to commit to believing in the numbers that make the whole system function.
So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us staring at a really fascinating and honestly kind of mind-bending question that philosophers are still grappling with. Think about this. If numbers are real, like our science seems to imply, then where in the world are they? And how do our physical brains even interact with them? But if they aren't real, if they're just ideas, then how on earth does science work so well? How can our best description of reality be based on something that doesn't actually exist? And that right there is the incredible, unanswered question at the heart of it all. Thanks for tuning in.